So how do I make a decision and just freaking do it?
Yeah. I think you've got to recognize that you can't fail and almost like try to fail. Like if you have things that didn't work, you're going in the right direction.
Because you're learning.
Because you're learning. And for every like 10 things that don't work, there's going to be 1 or 2 that does. It's just every time. But if you're waiting for that one thing that's going to work, there's so much opportunity that you're letting pass by. On this first episode of the new Embodied CEO podcast, I am bringing on a friend of mine and also my photographer for the last 7 years. She has been behind the scenes of all my retreats, all my events, and she's just an incredible human. For this episode, I asked you guys to submit questions and she's gonna read them to me. Off the cuff, raw, unfiltered response to your questions. So let's dive in. So Bree's gonna read the questions.
Yeah.
And before we do that, I think we should just share who you are and our relationship. So I've known Bree since I moved to Austin.
Yeah.
I think I even maybe reached out to you like right when I moved here.
Okay.
For photos.
Yep.
And
was it 2018?
Yeah. So
yes. Okay.
7 years.
Yeah.
And Bree's been my photographer.
Yeah.
But I think, with a photographer, you get behind the scenes of a lot. And so you've been one of a few people that I think have seen the mini versions of Emily.
Yes.
Kids.
Yeah.
And the events. You've been behind the scenes now, my retreats.
Yes.
My events. Me. It's just really cool.
Yeah, it's really special. I get to witness a lot of growth, like in a way that like people feel the effects of it, but I get to see the, like you said, behind the scenes of it. Cause a lot of times, like even on like our longer photo sessions, when it's just the two of us, like we chat about so much. Yeah. Right. And so I feel like I have this like deeper understanding of who you are in a way that's special. Like not everyone gets to.
It's definitely a behind the scenes.
Yeah. That's very fun.
Yeah. So I feel like you're perfect for reading me these questions and being a part of this fun episode.
Thanks for letting me be a part.
All right. Should we dive in?
Yeah. You ready?
I have no idea what to expect.
I expect nothing but greatness. So this feels good. This person says, as a new business owner, what common mistakes do new entrepreneurs make when trying to implement strategies without a solid strategy as a foundation?
So without a strategy as a foundation, which I think most people don't have, what common mistakes do they make? All right. I think the biggest one is the shiny object syndrome that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the beginning phases, experience because you have so much noise. You've got podcasts, books, speakers, mentors saying, do this platform, this strategy, this. And I think without the perspective of being an entrepreneur, it's hard to know what to do. So you kind of start chasing one thing and then chasing another thing,
or you look to whatever's like seems like it's doing the best and you're like, that's going to be the best for me too.
Yeah. And then you get a little bit down that path and then it doesn't work and then you're like jumping to another thing. So I think one huge mistake is the shiny object syndrome, but it's not as simple as just don't do that. I think that the bigger root of that comes from, I don't know what to do. And I want to make the right decision because I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste money. I don't want to fail. I don't want to mess up. So honestly, like even if you choose a strategy and it doesn't work, go all in on that enough to learn and get the perspective from it, because that experience is going to lead you to the next thing.
Yeah.
But if you like dip your toe in it, you just do a little bit of it, you're like not all the way bought in, and then you jump to the next thing, you haven't gotten the full experience from that to learn from it. So I think that's number one. Another one for sure is your messaging, is your understanding of who you're trying to attract and the language that they use, how you're going to connect with them. That emotional connection drives everything. It drives your products, your offers, your social media, all of your marketing. So a lot of entrepreneurs start their business and they're like, I think I know them. I know their age. I know their gender. I have a general idea. They're moms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go and you start creating content and you start implementing in your marketing, and it's like very surface level.
Yeah.
And a lot of people spend years at that surface level place until it's pointed out to them. Which your messaging is the solid foundation, but the problem is if you don't have that understanding, literally everything you do is going to be impacted.
Yeah. So important.
Those are probably the biggest mistakes. And then the last one I'll say is just the fear of failure getting in the way.
I was just going to say, if I can, I'd love to tack on a question, which is, what would you say to the people who are scared of making the wrong choice, so they're frozen, right? Like, there's so many options, and I don't want to bounce around and have this like shiny object syndrome. So how do I make a decision and just freaking do it?
Yeah. I think you've got to recognize that you can't fail and almost like try to fail. Like if you have things that didn't work, you're going in the right direction.
Because you're learning.
Because you're learning. And for every like 10 things that don't work, there's going to be 1 or 2 that does. It's just every time. But if you're waiting for that one thing that's going to work, there's so much opportunity that you're letting pass by by not trying things. So I just can't stress enough the importance of just motion, like just doing, especially in the beginning. The beginning season of entrepreneurship is very much a doing, a hustle, a just like stay in motion. And then you get to take a step back and go, okay, what's working? How do I get more strategic here? But the more action you can take, the more progress you make.
So you're saying if someone is waiting to feel the full confidence that they cannot fail at this, they're never going to start.
You've got to like, you know, that fake it till you make it a little bit mentality, or do it as if you already have it is the key.
That's good. I feel like so many people get stuck right there of like, I don't feel 100% confident that I'm going to crush this, so I can't start it yet. I still have more work to do before I step in.
Yeah.
And you're saying, no, step in and make mistakes and learn along the way and adjust, and you'll figure out along the way if it's a right fit for you.
Yeah.
It's good.
And you're never going to feel like you're going to crush it. Like even,
but we want to.
Even me today, it's like you just start a video podcast. There's going to be room for improvement. Like I guarantee you the first few episodes.
Yeah.
Even just from the last one to this one, we're like messing with the lighting a little bit. It's like, but you've got to start because you can't get the feedback unless you start.
Yeah. I think we're also so scared of like everyone else's opinion of like,
that's true.
Yeah. I'm scared that if I put this out there and it doesn't look perfect, people are going to think I'm not legit enough to like listen to or take advice from. And it's like, but I don't feel that way when I watch people.
Right.
So it's like we're the harshest. We're the harshest. Yeah. Okay. You want to jump to another question?
Next question.
Okay. I feel like this could be in the same vein. If a new entrepreneur could only focus on one key principle in the first 90 days of business, what would you recommend and why?
Hands down, your messaging. Hands down. Your when I say messaging, your emotional connection and understanding of your ideal customer in the simplest but also deepest way. That impacts everything you do, from product to delivery to marketing. If you focus on that and you actually, like if we said tangible things like talk to them, interviewed them, pulled out the specific things they're saying as it relates to what they're struggling with, what they want, and took that and let that influence your content, your product, your delivery, your offer, your marketing strategy, you would have so many ideas and so much clarity, way more than a coach could even give you. Like I think so often, so much of what should I do? The answer lies in your audience. Like, what are we doing it for, right?
Yeah.
We're doing it for our customers, our potential customers.
So you got to know what they want, not just assume what they want.
Yeah. And like it can't be that surface level. And I think it takes depth and it takes refinement and it takes optimization to get to that deep understanding. And so people touch the surface and then they move to the next thing because coming up with my funnel strategy or recording a webinar or posting on social media is way more sexy than messaging.
Sure.
But all of that is driven by messaging. So any entrepreneur in the beginning should spend 90 days on messaging. And that doesn't mean you can't be doing other things, but intentional depth there.
In the first 90 days of business, how do you know what your ideal client is in order to interview the right people?
Yeah. I think you have to start with a general idea of who your offer's for, that you're either planning to create or created. And then you go find those people. And really what you're pulling out is more so the emotional. Like you probably know, oh, it's moms, it's women, those like demographic components. The emotional piece is where the gap is.
Right.
And humans only make decisions off of emotion.
I love it. Okay. You ready for another one?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh, I think I did it on accident. For someone just starting out, how can they develop a deep understanding of their ideal customer when they don't have an existing audience yet?
There we go.
You answered it already.
You got to know the general who you're trying to find, and then you go learn. You go get the deep understanding by talking to them, by interacting with them. And this is an ever evolving process. Like I've done probably 40 trainings, 50 trainings, webinars. I pay attention to every Q&A, right? Those questions that they're asking me, the engagement, the comments, like where I hit it right with the emotional connection, that refines my next one.
Yeah, that data is gold. Yeah, that's good. Do you want to switch up the vibe a little bit? I've got a really fun one.
Okay.
You've had 3 babies while simultaneously building and scaling a business. How do you navigate, or how did you navigate postpartum without dropping the ball or losing momentum? I'm terrified to take the leap, they say.
My answer here is not going to be this like perfectly fitted answer because, well, first of all, each one of my babies was different. And the first 2 especially, I was very much in survival mode. Naturally, I've been in survival mode for a long time in my life until maybe like recognizing it a couple years ago. So the first baby, I took no leave. Like that's the truth. And we didn't have any money. We lived in a tiny, tiny studio. Peter worked, but I had to work. And my motivation was I didn't want to put my baby in daycare. So that was my like non-negotiable for me of as long as I don't have to leave him and I can just work with him, then I'm good. On my phone, on the computer with him sleeping right there. And that's what I did. And at the time when Oliver was born 10 years ago, I mean, I was a virtual assistant, like making $20 an hour. So I was doing tasks for clients. And this is sad, but I didn't even tell clients that I was going to have a baby when I had Oliver.
Was that out of fear that they might think you couldn't handle it?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So I literally hid it and just like kept working.
Sure. It was like completely compartmentalized. Yeah. Personal life, work life.
So that's like the depth of survival that I was in then.
Yeah.
Now, could I have not done that? Yeah, I could have probably had clients be like, oh my gosh, like take a few weeks,
Sure.
But I told myself the story of like, you can't be a burden to them. They will go find someone else. You'll lose the job. I didn't want to I was getting a lot of momentum at the time too in my business with clients, and I didn't want to lose it. So it was like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And it was, it was challenging. That's the whole thing, is like becoming a mom at 20 and then building my business right there. And it, that is what allowed us to like move up closer to my family, because it was online work and we could move. Like Peter was working in person.
And being near family when you have a baby is a wild gift.
Yeah.
If you have great family.
Yeah. Then the second, same thing. I didn't have a team yet. My business had taken off. So Ella was born almost 2 years to the day of Oliver. So it was like back to back, with I breastfed till the day I gave birth to Ella.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was not a good decision.
Yeah. I mean, and I have thoughts, but carry on.
Yeah. So Ella was born, and I did tell clients then that I was pregnant, but it was very much like, I'll be right back. Like, no problem. I love to work, so I'm not taking a maternity leave. And I did. I mean, it's sad, but I was in labor with Ella working.
And was that true though in that season? Like, did you really love the work that much?
It was an escape. It was an escape. It was also the only thing that was mine out of motherhood. Okay. So for me, I'm a very like autonomous person. Like since I was young, you know, had a bunch of things going on, could autonomy over my time. Yeah. You look back and you're like, what are you running from? Since I was young, right? But I filled my time. So then having kids, it was like, oh my gosh, I don't have autonomy over my time anymore.
Yeah, you belong
to
these babies.
That was really hard for me.
Sure.
Extremely hard for me. So the business was the one thing that was like acceptable for me to do outside of motherhood.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I loved it because it was my thing.
Yeah. And there's value in it, right? Like, you're making money, you're building this business that you can see as like becoming, you know, maybe it wasn't what it is today in your mind then.
Yeah.
But what you could see it being this freedom, right? Like,
right.
If I can get this to this, it's going to do so much for my life, my family. And therefore, like, that's why I was asking, was that true? Because I've felt that same thing of like, but I actually really do love the work because I can see what it can be and what it can do. Yeah. But there's also that fine line of like kind of being lost in it. Yeah.
So I didn't take much time with Ella, but I mean, I worked with them right there. Mm-hmm. Like, for me, it was I clearly have a hard time with doing nothing. And so that was challenging. Like, when you've got a newborn baby and your body's literally recovering and the baby's got to eat every 2 hours and you're in bed, I had something to do.
Yeah.
William, I was much more prepared to take time off. Batch recorded, was set up to take time off, and then COVID happened.
Yeah, talk about throwing you for a loop.
Right when he was born in February, and March-ish was when everything started shutting down, and so I told myself, well, you got to work. Like, you don't know what's going to happen to the business. Everybody was freaking out. Mm-hmm. Like, people were creating content around what to do. Events were shutting down, and so I went back in to work. I had a lot more help by the time William was born, like nanny, house cleaning. So I felt very supported, and I did take some time. Like, I didn't take any meetings, and I basically could do what I wanted at that point. So it doesn't really answer the question in this like perfect how to take it, but I do think two things. I think that if you want to take time, decide what that looks like for you and take it, and like, who cares about, to an extent, the business. Like, if you can get yourself to a place where you're financially okay, take the time, because the time's way more important than the money. Yeah. And the business will be fine.
Yeah, you can always make more money.
It will absolutely be fine. But if you don't want to take a bunch of time, also like, just make your own rules. That's kind of my thought on postpartum is like, if you want to work 1 hour a day while the baby's napping next to you and go on your phone and do something, like, just do it. Yeah. But it's really like, what is in alignment with me right now and how I want to show up, because there's so much guilt around it. Like, you take the time and now you're guilty for the business. You don't take the time and now you're not a present mom. Mm-hmm. You literally can't win in this situation. So you have to determine what is the best scenario for me. Like, what is my dream scenario?
Yes.
And then make that happen as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And each time, like, I think that I did that. I do look back and I have feelings of, I sometimes have feelings of like, I wish I enjoyed it more. Mm-hmm. My story is like becoming a young mom into survival of taking care of babies. And like, that was the path I was supposed to go on. Sure. So I don't really have any regret about it. And I think that, now I have so much time with my kids and we travel and they're homeschooled, and I had to do that in the beginning to get to where we are right now. And that's just like, that's my path. There's no right or wrong either on that answer.
Yeah. And without knowing this person's setup, right? Like, do they do podcasts? Do they do videos? Do they do X, Y, or Z? It's hard to give like firm examples of what they could do.
Right.
But I think there is a way. And I'm really asking because if I were in this person's position and I'm either currently navigating postpartum or know that I'm about to, I feel like having some like practical examples would be helpful. And I think that would be a fun exercise. So the meat of the question is, how do I navigate? It was, how did you, but let's change it to some examples of how to navigate postpartum without dropping the ball or losing momentum. Practical things like, well, if you have a podcast, you can pre-record and set up to come out on X dates. That way you feel like you're still checking the boxes and the tasks of getting the things done without having to be present to do them right now.
Yeah, I think it's probably for her clarifying, what are you afraid you're going to drop the ball on?
Yes.
What are you afraid you're going to lose momentum on? Okay, list that out specifically and then put plans in place to prevent that from happening. Okay. And it's actually a beautiful opportunity. And with all my pregnancies, like you almost like nest in your business. And so you figure out like where you need to replace yourself within reason of where you're at. And so you also use it as an opportunity of like, I haven't hired this help or I haven't put this system in place. And now is my opportunity to do it because I literally have a baby coming.
Yeah.
And it
there's
will
a fire
force
under
you.
your butt.
Yeah. It will force you.
It will. Because, and also in the best way. It's like,
it's powerful.
It's powerful to like bring it way down and simplify it. Like, it's almost like cleaning your house before company comes over.
Yeah.
It's way more enjoyable to do when you're doing it because company's coming over and you want to make a homey place for them to be in, as opposed to, I just have to do my chores today and I don't really feel motivated to do it. You've got postpartum coming down the pipeline, like get things in place so that you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
I like that's good. Other things might be what for your clients? Batching posts?
Yeah, I think systems, batching, and maybe it's hiring help. Like that could be a huge, looking at what type of business growth do you expect and how can you automate some of it. And I think it's just, it pushes you to do probably what you should be doing anyways, but you're comfortable because you're available. So knowing that you want to take time off is actually a really great exercise in business in general. Like I will sometimes tell my clients, like, pretend like you could not work for a month and you had to keep your business running. You know, what would you do? Again, it depends on the season,
of course, that
you're in. Like that with my first, that was absolutely not a possibility. Like I was the business doing hourly virtual assistant work. So every situation is custom, but I think use it to, here's my expectation of how I want postpartum to be. Here's the gap right now in my current reality. And so here's the solutions, systems, batching, help.
So good. Okay, I've got another one for you. This one says, hi, Emily. I have basically $0 to spend on ads right now. What organic strategies are working best for your clients right now so that those of us who aren't making money can make some money to spend on ads?
Yeah. So my number one recommendation that I teach in this situation is networking and outreach. And I'm not talking like cold DMs. I'm talking about making a list of people, whether it's ideal customers, dream customers, or it's people you already know. Like literally open your contacts on your phone, your followers that engage with you right now on social media, and genuinely connect with all of them. And try to start conversations, because as we know, a conversation always naturally goes to, what do you do? How do you help people? Tell me about you, which can be an open door for somebody who's maybe looking for the solution that you provide. So what I teach is literally that, like make a list of people and genuinely connect with them and try to start conversations. And you'd be so surprised how well that can do. That's how I built my business in the very beginning. That's how I got all my clients. I'd go in Facebook groups. I would, this was 10 years ago, so Facebook groups were a little bit different,
Sure.
but I would network, reply to people's comments and just try to start conversations. And it snowballs pretty fast. If you are in a situation where you don't have money to spend on ads, you don't have the resource of money to grow your business. So you have to use the resource of time. And that's organic marketing. What I don't recommend that you do is try to post every day on the social media hamster wheel and cross your fingers and hope the algorithm is in your favor and attracts the right people. It won't work. You get in the driver's seat by saying, here's a list of 20 potential clients that I could work with, and I'm going to talk to them every week for the next month and just see where it goes. And I'm going to put the time into that, and I promise it'll go somewhere.
How do you how would you recommend going at that in the most authentic way so that it doesn't come across like you're trying to, like, I'm just trying to get money coming in?
Yeah. You've got to have genuine conversations. Like, how would you network with someone that you met at the coffee shop or the gym? It's like a genuine conversation. Reply to their stories, comment on their post, something nice. And you have to actually do it with no strings attached. Like, you have to actually go into it saying, I do want to genuinely connect with this person and see where it could go, but I'm not like, if it doesn't go somewhere, then screw you, So it's all like the intention going into it. And so you're not messaging them and going, hey, can I offer you this service? Like, treat it as if you literally are like talking to them at a coffee shop and how that would go. Yeah.
I feel like so many times, at least for me, like, I get something in my inbox and like I have to remember that, like, it's actually a real person. It's probably not intended to be like, I would love to work with you. I would love to, like, I'm talking like ads based, not someone who's like reaching out for my service, obviously. Like, I'd love to sit with you and grab coffee and see how we can help. And I'm like, sometimes that you can feel the, is inauthenticity the word? Yeah.
Because it probably is. Right. If you think about someone who's just like messaging you, I'd love to grab coffee, they're not thinking about your time. They're not thinking about what would serve you the best. Like, it is about them. So the outreach has to not be about you.
Yeah.
Right? It's genuinely reaching out, connecting, and seeing where that conversation goes. But it's not like, how can you help me?
Yeah.
That's not the energy.
So you can reach out to your people who you would seems like your energy matches mine. You're my ideal client. But you basically almost start out just like, I'm just going to be in your atmosphere.
Yeah. I'm going to be on your radar.
Yeah.
I'm going to reply to your story. I'm going to comment something positive on your post.
Because those are my genuine thoughts.
Yep.
And if it leads later in life, if this feels like a connection on both ends, and if I offer something that you find yourself needing, I'm in your atmosphere.
Yeah. I have literally gotten so many clients doing that. Even today. Like, I have people who I will strategically follow them and engage with them. And then they see, oh, she does marketing. She has a marketing business, and they'll hire us from that. But I'm not going into it going like, okay, hire me. Like, come on. This is all about me. And I think that's the problem in a lot of marketing, not just this. It's like, it's actually not about you.
Yeah.
It's about the potential customer you're trying to attract, and it's about serving them.
Yeah.
So if you're asking someone to take time out of their day and have coffee with you who doesn't know you, you're not thinking about their time and what would serve them. You're asking for them to give to you their time with zero value for them, zero benefit.
Right. Or maybe there is benefit, but they don't know it yet.
Right.
Because you haven't started, you haven't warmed them up. You're just like, hi,
Yeah.
You know, I got something that you would love.
It's like we would never do that in person too. Like digitally, we do so many things that we would never just like walk up to someone in the coffee shop and be like, "Hey, will you have coffee with me tomorrow?"
So true.
Like,
so true. It's so true. We get bold behind those screens, but almost in a way it's like, are you using your head?
Yeah.
So funny. Okay, how you feeling? You ready for another one?
Yeah.
This person asks, how do you juggle going with the flow and acting on impulses of creativity while your brain is in a creative mode versus staying consistent with the tasks that will move the needle forward, like ones that you have committed to doing that day? I really struggle with the balance between these masculine and feminine energies.
My guess is this person asking probably leans towards more a personality type of feminine energy and creativity and lack of structure. I'm just guessing. Because I have to make an intentional effort for the feminine energy side. And the time without structure. The structure is, I could live, in structure. So I think there's a few things here. Like, you do need to know how you operate as a person, right? And there's also the human design. Are you a generator? Are you manifesting generator? Like, it really does matter. And so knowing you as a person and how you operate best, and then trying to align like your schedule and the way you set up your day and your time to that is huge. And I think a lot of people like try to be me, right? Like, oh, Emily has this structure in this day, and so I'm going to try and do that. It's like, it will never work because you are not me. So if you are someone who the creativity and the flow and the feminine energy comes easy, you have to make an intentional effort to put masculine structure in your weeks and your days. And probably for you, it's like, okay, what are your top 3 needle movers that you're going to get done today? What is your plan for the week? What are your specific to-dos? There are so many women that I coach in my coaching groups and masterminds. Like, even right now I had one, and her homework, I said, every single morning, I want you to just give me your top 3 priorities in our group chat, because she needed the accountability of, this is what I'm doing today. Because she'd get in her house and then she's like, oh, just clean and I'll do this. And you are probably more that personality type, right? And
I am.
And you don't thrive in too much structure.
I feel like what I'm learning is I actually do, but finding the structure and figuring out what works best for me so that I can live in that, like, for me, I'm finding structure kind of equals freedom. There is power in writing down your intentions and your top 3 priorities, because when you can come back to that, like, we as humans are so quick to forget. Like, what I wrote down this morning, I might forget if I don't have it posted up where I can see it. This is what I'm working on today. Yeah. And once I get these done, I can live in the freedom of, I want to tinker in my house. But I relate to that a lot. Yeah. I relate to a lot.
So I'll tell you a tangible thing that I've done is I will schedule time in my calendar that actually is white space time.
Let me interpose this question, because I think it's going to be answered with it. I felt like it was very fitting. Yeah. What is your daily routine, including work and life? I'd love to know your hour by hour on how your typical day goes. Because when we see someone who feels like they have it figured out, it's like, at least let me try, right? Yeah. Like, I might learn that I can't be you because it's not me. Right. But I want to know what you do, what makes you successful, and then how can I tweak that to make it my own a little bit. I feel like sometimes we need that jumping off point. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do I want to answer this? Because I think my current day is pretty sweet. Like, I don't work a lot. And I work out a lot, and I have a lot of freedom. And so that wasn't my day, maybe 3 years ago. Yeah, exactly. But I can absolutely tell you guys how I spend my time, for sure. But I want to answer on the structure and the creativity, because no matter what side you're on, like, you're going to lean towards one side is easier than the other. So the answer is, you have to come up with an intentional strategy to hold yourself accountable to have the other one in your life every day. So for me, it's have the white space. It's the do nothing time. It's the creative time. I have to put it in my calendar as that is what you're doing at this time. You're going to brainstorm this. There's no like checklist you have to get through. If you're on the opposite side, where you could spend all day in that space and you don't actually get the tactical things done, you've got to bring accountability to yourself to get the tactical things done. And honestly, like, the biggest thing is it's a daily practice. It's daily. Like, you're not going to flip a switch and all of a sudden this is easy for you. Yeah. Like, this is how you're made. This is going to be a lifelong journey of incorporating it. And so for me, like the do nothing time is a constant effort. The other thing on this that I feel like has been a skill I've built, especially the last few years, is really learning to tune into that intuition. Like there are some times where you have a scheduled day and it needs to go out the window because the creativity is hitting and that is the most beneficial thing for your business. Mm-hmm. There are some days where you may have, oh, I was going to be creative, but this thing happened in the business and it needs me to jump in, right? And so I think that that's flow, and learning to like live within that. And I think that's a big thing when we get to now talking about my day. I sometimes feel like my day is like a game of Tetris, and every day is like a little bit different. And it's like, these are my non-negotiables. And so today, how am I going to fit them all in?
Yes.
And then when something curveball is thrown my way and something happens, it's still like, okay, but I still have my non-negotiables. So now what do I need to rearrange? Who do I need to ask for support? How do I still make it happen? So with that said, learning to decipher when you have that urge of like, I don't want to do the structure, I want to do the creative work, or I don't, the creative work is not productive. That's my thing. Like, oh, it's not productive to do nothing, so I'm just going to keep going through my list. When you have that urge, kind of tuning into like, where is it coming from? Is it coming from what is actually in the best interest of you and your business? Or is it coming from that part of you that like runs from what's not comfortable, what's not normal?
Like that rigidity.
Yeah.
To make it, like to force it to happen.
Yeah. And I think it's like we're human beings, not robots. So every day and every week, it's not going to look the same. And especially for women, we have our cycle, like it shouldn't look the same every day. And that's taken me a very long time to recognize and actually be able to listen to.
Yeah. Like,
and even in that, you can't be like, okay, on this week, you know, because like part of me wants to be like, okay, so if it changes all the time, give me the PDF of how it should change in the weeks. And then, you know, but it doesn't work like that because life and seasons, and it's not supposed to be the same. It's supposed to be cycles. It's supposed to be seasons. It's supposed to change. And so the skill that you could get to learn is how to listen to that.
Yeah.
And how to make decisions from a place knowing where that's coming from versus like the judgment or the chasing of comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that's good.
Now my day. So I can talk about my day. Every day is a little bit different. And I think the bigger thing is I have my non-negotiables.
Yes.
For me in this current season of life, my training is my number one priority. And I made that decision probably 8 months ago where something's on fire in the business, I still get my training done. My kids are sick, I still get my training done. Like that, unless I am sick or didn't sleep last night, like my training is my priority.
Okay.
And that's a choice. And so I think that in different seasons of life, you get to choose kind of what is the number one priority that you want. And sometimes, like if you just had a baby, it's going to be that. It's going to be your kids. It's going to be the baby. Maybe you're in a build season of your business and it's like, that's my number one priority. That's going to change. Like like this eventually will probably shift for me. I don't know. You know, I don't know the future, but at some point it may not be my number one priority anymore. Right now it is. So a lot of my days are structured to allow me to train how I need to train.
Yeah.
I also I hate meetings. That's something about me.
Yeah, I
hate them. Hate. If you ask my team, like it is really hard to get me on a meeting.
And you used to have so many.
I used to have so many because I was just like, oh, this is what I have to do, and appeasing to people. And now it's like somebody asked me like, hey, can you call me today? And I'm like, no. If it can be an email, if it can be a message, a voice message, like do that over a meeting. I just hate them. They drain me. They take up so much time. And so I know that about myself. And so I build my schedule to have as few meetings as possible. And so I theme my days during the week. Like my meetings are batched. I do have some meetings. I do have a team, so I have to talk to them.
Yeah.
And then I do coaching calls, which I love. So I batch those, and then I have days with 0 meetings. And those are intended to be like catch-up days, content days, creative days, white space. And I think one thing I've found that works really well is like giving yourself those focused, half a day or whole day to be able to go deep. It doesn't work to have like 2 hours of meetings, 2 hours of content creation, 2 hours of email. It's jumping
you don't
all
get
around.
deep enough into anything. Everything's shallow.
Right. So here's an overview of my day. I'll do a high level. And it actually just changed. I used to wake up and work out at 6:30 a.m. And I recently shifted my schedule and now realize how much I need to sleep with how much I'm training. So I sleep like 9.5 hours a night now.
Okay. Yeah. Goals.
Yeah. And so I don't get up early anymore. So I get up, I don't know, when Willie wakes me up at 7. And one of the things when we switched to homeschooling that was important to me is slower mornings. Like that was actually one of my main reasons. Top 3 was I hated the like, get out of bed, get your stuff, get out of the house, frantic. I was like, no, I will not do this.
Yeah.
So our mornings are somewhat slow. Like I have an hour to basically like get ready, drink my tea, whatever. Depending on the day, I'll either take Willie to preschool or my kids go to farm school a couple days a week. So I love to drive them in the morning because it's like our time together.
Yes.
And then I usually don't start work until 10. There's some time in there, like sometimes it's when I wake up, sometimes it's before I start work that I'll do my stillness practice. That's a non-negotiable. So that's an example of like no matter what, 10 minutes of my stillness practice happens, and ideally it's before I start work. Now I'm not perfect at that. There's some nights that we get to the end of the day and my kids are getting their 30 minutes of TV and I go do it then because I haven't done it yet.
And that's a little bit of being not so rigid and having that flow and being okay with the fact that like this is my non-negotiable, whether it happened when I wanted it to happen or not.
Exactly.
That's good.
So it's like it's knowing those non-negotiables, and then I swear it feels like my days are like a game of Tetris. Like how do I fit them all into the schedule?
Yeah.
And I feel like as my kids have gotten older too, that's just the reality of like the sports schedules and their schedules, that it's not the same every day. So I can't do the same things because I've got to accommodate to different schedules and things happening. So I'll do that stillness practice, and I never ever start my day without a list. Like I don't have email on my phone. I don't have Slack on my phone. One other thing that I'm very intentional with is communication and becoming reactive to the communication happening versus like now is the time I'm going to respond to everybody. With a team of 18 people and clients, and I have, chat groups in my coaching programs, there's always somebody who needs a response.
You're saying you're moving away from being reactive when it happens in the moment to giving it like at 2:00, this is when I'll check everything. Okay.
Right. And I think that's a huge thing for people to do. Like I will have my girls in my mastermind like take email off their phone, and because you don't realize it's like so many of us, it's wake up, and this used to be me, wake up, phone, email, Slack, social media, and it's just like you're bombarded with
is there
noise.
Anything urgent right now? And then your mind is like thrown into this like immediately.
And then you're like, I gotta respond fast. And our society is so primed for like immediate response.
Absolutely.
So there are some times that I don't check my email for like 3 days. I do have a team member in there, so she'll text me like there's an urgent email or something. So I do have someone who looks, but I spend as little time as possible because it's so not productive. Like you can get sucked into it. So I do not start my day until I have a list. And what I do is basically look at my schedule, how many meetings do I have? What does my day look like? And then with the time that I have, what do I need to get done and what can I get done? And for me right now, a lot of it looks like approving things that my team has sent, copy, marketing, promo, different enhancements to client delivery. I will meet with all of my direct reports once a week. I have a couple of like leadership meetings and then my coaching calls. So I have my list every day prioritized, and I can't work without that. Like I don't know if I have ADD or what, but like if I don't have a list, then I do start bouncing all around.
Sure.
Like Slack and email and social media. And
You
like,
forget what your priority was.
Yeah. And so my list is like, okay, this is the next thing you're doing.
On lists, are you an eat the frog person or are you a snowball person? Like, do you feel more at peace with like getting the hard thing out of the way and letting everything get easier gradually? Or do you start slow and let that momentum build to where you're just crushing it and before you know it, your tasks are done?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like, I think I sometimes do both. Like, I think I do like being able to cross stuff off, but I think the skill that I have is I know what's like highest priority, right? Like, I have the view of the whole company, and my marketing team might think this is like urgent and high priority, but I have the picture of like we're good, guys. Like we can do this 2 days late and nothing will be on fire.
Okay.
This is higher priority on this side of the business. And sometimes my team's like, I wish you'd tell us those priorities because I don't. And then I just like don't reply.
Yeah, they're
to
like,
them.
well, we would have liked to know that the
"We've
company
been
wasn't on
asking
fire.
for 2 days for this. Can you please just reply? I'm very good at tuning everything out until I need to look at it. I do procrastinate though. I am a procrastinator. I work well under pressure.
Okay.
And so if I have a presentation, like I'm speaking in a week at an event, I haven't done like I'll do it on the plane. There's something about like those big projects. I work better under the wire to get them done.
Obviously, everyone is different. I maybe wouldn't recommend everyone do that,
No.
but do you feel like you are able to keep a level of authenticity when you do it like that and you really do come from the gut versus overanalyzing and over-preparing?
Yeah, I think so. I tell people now it's like it's part of the magic. Like I have to do it last minute, and it always turns out it's not like it diminishes the quality of it.
Like it allows it to be exactly what it was meant to be.
It just kind of, it's like you have this much time. I think there's a lot of power in that. They talk about, I really like Elon Musk. I know it's a hot topic, but I really like him. And he gives like really tight deadlines in his companies. And there's a whole thing about like they find a way to make it happen. And if you tell someone you have 2 years, they're going to take 2 years. If you tell them they have 2 months, they'll take 2 months and they'll figure out a way to make it happen. And so there's something I think at that for me of like,
yeah,
I have to do it in that time. So I will just get it done in that time.
Yeah. That's fun.
So my day, it's a mix every day of different things, meetings or getting through some of my to-do lists. Some days are more content. And then at about 2:30, I stop working and I go train. Sometimes that's 2 hours. Sometimes it's an hour and a half. Sometimes I work out twice in a day. Sometimes like on Wednesdays, I have an appointment I take Ella to. So I got to train at like 10 a.m. for 2 hours. And I only work for a couple hours on Wednesdays. So every day really is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then I get home from training, my nanny leaves, and then it's kids. It's right now we're in a season of sports and activities and family dinner, of course, which in this season I have felt, and I've shared this on my Instagram, like I don't like the chaos of the week. And my kids are homeschooled and it still feels like we hit the ground running on Monday and I don't come up for air until Friday. And it's just like so crammed with their activities. And I was feeling like I don't see my kids enough during the week. And so the way I handle those things is I'm like, okay, this is a problem. And so we need to come up with a solution. And so recently we implemented this thing called family night. And my kids usually get 30 minutes of TV after dinner, but one night a week they give it up. And Peter and I put our phones away. They don't have their TV and we do something like fun. Like we play a kickball game night. And I was like, it's going to be in the middle of the week after activities where it's just like almost like that weekend time that we get together.
Yeah.
But in the middle of the week because I was not like, it felt like I just didn't see my kids. It was very like, okay, on to the next thing and dinner and then bath and then bed. And I'm like, this is not working.
Yeah. The end of your days, you're like, wait a second. Yeah. Like my highest priority, I don't feel like was
exactly.
Really...
So we implemented that and that's been really great. But I think, that's how I look at all the categories of my life, and it's like, where's the highest priority? Where's it going well? Where could it go better? And then what are things I can implement to make a shift? Yeah.
It's good. I like it. Okay, I've got another one for you. Does your team use ChatGPT to help with marketing plans?
Not with marketing plans, no. I would say that the main thing our team uses AI for right now is to help with copy. And we actually it's not ChatGPT. I'm forgetting the name of it right now. There's a different one that I can't remember the name. That
Okay.
is, you'd be able to find it if you looked. It's like rated higher for copy.
Okay.
Nothing right now that we use AI for is like we just use AI and that's it. You know, it's like it's an assistant. So things like the meeting notes and making things go faster, but marketing plans, definitely not. Those are being developed from call with a client to here's our best practices to let's build this out custom. Yeah. That name is like right there of that. But
when it comes to
yeah.
Come back to it. This one's longer.
Okay.
So bear with me. I'm going to read this one. Someone says, I'd love to hear more examples of show up live bonuses that you've seen working. I know your zone of genius is making it applicable. No, doesn't matter. For everyone's personal situation, but I love ideas. Here's my personal context. I help K through 12 education consultants create and launch digital professional development workshops for teachers with sales funnels. I had 181 education consultants sign up for a free masterclass, and 15 showed up. 4 out of the 15 bought my $997 course. Yay. But I need more people showing up live. My show up bonus was my full sales funnel. I gave them my ads, my landing pages, my webinar recording, my sales page, my sales emails, and I thought it was pretty good, but clearly it wasn't. So I would love some ideas.
Yeah, I think your bonus is good. My question was, did they know it was good? Right? Like that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on where they are, do they know the value of a sales funnel and ads and how much time that's going to save them? And maybe looking at the communication of the show up bonus, like in between when they signed up for your training and the training happened, did you communicate very well? Not just that there is a show up bonus and you've got to show up live, but why that bonus is going to save them time, it's going to save them money, and like the outcome. Did you sell them on it?
Okay.
Would be one thing. Another strategy you could try is doing no replay and saying, this is super valuable information. I'm going to be giving XYZ away because it's so valuable. Like you got to be there live. So adjust your calendar, make it happen. There won't be a replay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something you want to do every single time, but I definitely do throw that one in and it works. And then what you can do afterwards, because you will have people who like genuinely can't come and they usually are upset, is you can record like a recap for them. So you can say, oh, we didn't do a replay, and I'm sticking to that, but here's a little recap video of what I talked about, and ultimately that still has your pitch in it. So that's an idea. And I also don't know for this person, like you have teachers, I'm sure time they can't do during the day. They probably have to do at night.
Sure.
Maybe a weekend, like play also with the time and the day that you're doing these trainings, because I would imagine that person is probably very busy if they have a full-time job. And then if they have kids and activities in the evening, you've just got to play with that. Last idea is there a very simple hack or shortcut that you could give them that like the second they knew that if they had that, they're like, oh, that would create this much value. I think when I hear hers or his, it sounds like it's a really powerful and good show up bonus that is like, if I just heard it for the first time, I wouldn't know that it's so good.
Sure.
Because it's like, I'm going to give you funnels and ads and this, and like, that's good because you're an expert.
But do they understand?
But they're like,
yeah,
what does that mean?
Why do I need it? Why is that so valuable? Why is it so important? Because once you understand it, then you're like, holy beep. I need all that.
Yeah.
Yes. Give it to me. Save my time, save my energy.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. What steps do you take to troubleshoot when your ads aren't converting?
First, any marketing, you've got to know the tracking all the way through the funnel. So every time there's an action you want someone to take, there's data connected to that action. You need to know what that data is and what the goal you're trying to achieve with that is, so that you can find out where's it not working. Mm-hmm. So when you have ads, there's some key metrics of, one is the click-through rate. So the percentage of people who see the ad, how many are clicking. There is what's called the CPM, which is the cost per impression. So how much is it costing for me to show this ad to people on Meta? And then there's the clicks on the ad, and from there the conversion. So first you have to figure out, why are they not working? Like, is it starting at the ad itself? Or are you getting clicks and they're not getting leads? Or you're getting leads and you're not getting sales? So the first thing is, what is the data all the way through the funnel, every single step? Where do you want that data to be? And then when you identify where it's not working, where there's basically a hole or a gap and people aren't taking the action, okay, what are the levers that dictate that? So with the ads themselves, it's a lot of time it's the copy and the creative. It comes back to the messaging.
Right.
It comes back to the emotional connection the ads are creating. Are they attracting people? Are they standing out? Is the offer that you're sending people to actually what people want? That's another thing. It's like, maybe your lead magnet is really cool, but the way you're talking about it, people don't understand that it's cool. We're going to provide a ton of value for them. I would say most of the time ads don't work. It comes back to the messaging. People think it's like, I need to find this secret hack ninja targeting, and I'm not able to do that. Yes, targeting plays an impact, but most of the time ads don't work. It's the messaging, it's the copy, it's the creative, it's how they're standing out from the noise and connecting with the ideal customer. So what do? You deepen that understanding, that clarity, you create new creative assets, and you test it again.
Yeah, that's good. That was my question, which you just answered it, which was, is it typically most often just not deep enough? It's just not tugging on the emotional strings it needs to tug on to get people really interested.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly the biggest thing with marketing today. It's like, there's just so much noise. You've got to do so much better today than you had to 10 years ago to stand out. It's possible. You know, when people ask me, like, how do I get inexpensive cost per lead? How do I get more sales? It's like, you up level your messaging, you up level your marketing, you be the best.
You start at the foundation.
Yeah.
And you better it. And as you do, it trickles into everything. This person says, hi, Emily. Would love your advice about marketing yourself. Ironically, I'm a marketing and content consultant and have been successful with word of mouth referrals. So I know what I do for others, but I have trouble prioritizing my own promotion and marketing for my own business. Do you have a couple of suggestions? Thank you.
If you right now are doing it all yourself and delivering to clients, like something I see often is your own marketing never gets priority. So what I would do is start with a goal of, how many new clients do you want to bring in? Like, what do you want your growth to look like over the next 3, 6, 12 months? And then work backwards from there on the marketing strategy that's going to accomplish that. You know, I do a lot to market myself. So I put a lot, now I'm able to, like, that's one of my number one jobs. And now I'm able to put in a lot of time into content creation, into visibility and audience growth. And then we have lead gen and sales. So honestly, like, how you grow your business is the same as how you're doing it for clients. But probably you've got to prioritize, here's the goal, here's how many new clients I want. In order to do that, what's the strategy you need that supports that? Because there's not like a magic answer of do a webinar and that will solve all your problems. You know, it's the same with any marketing. You've got to grow your audience. You've got to generate leads. You've got to convert both of those. So you need intentional effort and a strategy going into those buckets.
But then the struggle here, they're saying, please help. Like, how do I market myself? It's like, you know how to do it. You just have to prioritize the time to also treat yourself like your client.
Yeah. And probably that means getting support in the delivery side of your business, getting that off your plate, some of that off your plate, creating the systems, creating the support so that you could free up your time for the content creation, for the marketing. Even today, like if I was to look at how I spend my time in my business, my marketing is the highest percentage of where I spend my time. My delivery is solid. Like that's the majority of my team, our processes, our systems. Like I, at a high level, set the expectation and I train the team at a high level. I mean, even the deeper training is outsourced to my team, but content, I can't outsource that, right? So marketing yourself, it's hard to fully outsource that. And so if you're not putting time into it, then it's not happening.
Yeah. What would you recommend when someone is trying to decide what to maybe outsource or offload from their plate? How do you decide that?
Look at what's taking the most amount of my time right now, or what am I doing that I'm terrible at and someone else could do it so much faster than me. One thing you can do that I have my clients do is a time study. So like literally spend a week and write down everything you're doing in a day and take inventory of like, okay, I'm spending a ton of time here, and be able to pull that out to create how you go and get support. I think usually some people's like first hires are like a virtual assistant. It's like getting the admin stuff off your plate, the email, that little stuff, the tech. I think a lot of entrepreneurs who try to do their tech, it's like we're not meant to be in the back end of systems.
Sure.
Copy takes a long time, a lot of work.
Especially if you're a perfectionist and you want to get it right.
Yeah. Unless you're a copywriter or a designer, those things, I think copy was one of the first things that I outsourced for my clients, right? Like I was writing their copy when I would do the ads, and I brought in a copywriter because that was taking me so much time and also was so important in the delivery.
So would you say like when you do that, the time that you get back to then invest back into your business, tenfold what you're actually spending to outsource?
Totally. As long as you're intentional and strategic with it, right? Like, okay, I'm going to free up 10 hours a week, and I'm going to make sure that 10 hours a week goes into marketing my business. And I have a goal of 1 new client a month for that to be a success. And it's like, now you've got a plan.
Yeah, I feel like that's the hardest part. Like people know like I need to do something. How do I do it? And that's great. That's great to hear. Like what's taking all your time? And what are you not good at?
Yeah.
And what do you hate? Like, what is the thing that is just like sucking your energy out and making you hate business? Because I tell you, you're not gonna be able to come in and give it everything you have and like let your passion flow through your business if you're dreading going into work.
Yeah, I mean, your ultimate goal should be to set yourself up to where you're spending all your time doing what you love and what you're really good at and what's your natural gifts, because that's your superpower that nobody can replicate. So for me, it's like I know if I can put myself into where I spend my time in that visionary ideas, content creation, leadership, our business is going to be flourishing because that's my gift.
Yeah.
If I'm doing tech, like then I'm putting that time into something that does not actually grow the business. It's actually not just taking my time, it's hurting the business growth.
Yeah, because you are missing in action in the areas that you thrive in and propel you forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are good things to like really pause and start writing down like, okay, yeah. And I think that outsourcing is so much easier than people think it is.
Yeah.
It's so much
going
easier.
Back to at the beginning how we said, just take the action and do it messy. And I think people wait because they want it to be perfect. They want to have it set up perfect for the person. They don't want to waste any money.
Yep.
They want to have all the systems in place. And they're like, once I get here, then I'll get help.
Yeah.
No, you get help to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and you do it messy and you bring someone on and you're like, I don't have this all figured out. Can you help me? This is what I'm doing. Like, help me make an SOP. Help me. You have to have clear expectations. That's the biggest thing. But I think people wait way too long to hire help because they're trying to get to a certain place or perfect something before they do it, when it's actually the thing holding them back.
Yeah. You're going to be propelled so much faster if you are willing to learn through the mess, like learn from the mistake. And then guess what? You don't have to make that mistake anymore. Like, that's really good. And the next one says, tell me about the strategy behind the visibility ad campaign. I think I understand it, but I was trying to explain it to someone and I had a really hard time.
Yeah, so visibility ads amplify your content. That's how I would describe it. So you're taking existing content, podcast, blog post, social post, and you're putting a small amount of ad spend behind it to a strategic audience, your ideal customers, so that more people see it. Mm-hmm. More people go to the content, the podcast, more people consume the video. It's you getting in the driver's seat of your growth, because the algorithm and hoping that your social media sees enough people see the content is a losing game. So visibility ads are something anyone can do tomorrow because it's just promoting content. The way I teach it is different than boosting a post, if you've ever participated in my challenges, but that's basically what it is. It's to increase your audience. And people get really confused. They're like, but then it's not going to a lead gen. It's not going to a webinar. No, it's content. That's it.
Yeah, that's good. That's a very clear and simple way to be able to like take that word for word and explain that for this person. That's great. Is there anything, after hearing all of the questions that have been asked, is there anything that has come up that you wanted to address that wasn't asked but is kind of sitting on the edge of?
I had zero expectations, so they were good questions. They were really good questions. I feel like so much of what I talk about comes back to this theme of like, just do it messy, just take the action, hire the support, market your business, put yourself out there. And when we look up to someone or follow someone, it's like natural to want to know how they spend their day or replicate what they've done. But I can't emphasize enough, like the more I'm in this, the more it's like the more you connect back to yourself and what that alignment looks like for you and what your natural gifts are, and you align everything to that, like that's the magic. And there's not a like 1, 2, 3 step on how to do that. And I think that's why it's so hard. It's like when people used to tell me that, I'm like, okay, well, tell me the steps. Like how do I do it? It's just a practice and learning that voice and that intuition and that connection. And I mean, it's beyond powerful. So as much as you look for, tell me how to manage my day, when I coach people, every conversation is different because it's looking at where they're at, what they're good at, what their magic is,
and what their goal is.
Yeah, where they're going, different. What season of life they're in, a business they're in, and like what makes sense for them right now, which also is going to probably change in 6 months from now.
Seems so simple, but if you really like break it down, it can be the most profound thing. Like you have to know what success is, what that means for you in your life, because what you are defining as success, your goals, like if I could have this, then I am happy, I am content. That's going to be different than the person sitting next to you. And that dictates everything, right? Because if my goal is to make $1 million and your goal is to slow down and enjoy your children and to raise your chickens and have your garden, one of us, our work life looks way different than the other. And I think that's a really cool thing. Like lately I've just been really pondering on, because I'm like, how many times have I seen somebody and I like what they have? And so I want to know, what do you do? How do you get it done in the day? And if I just apply your steps, your methods, your day-to-day, like I'm going to reach what you have. Yeah. But if it's not clearly defined, like that's actually not what I'm wanting and going after, then I'm going to find myself misaligned and not enjoying what I'm doing.
And what if there was no right or wrong? I think that's the big thing, is we think this is the right way, this is the wrong way. And then we put people on pedestals and we're like, they're doing it the right way, I'm doing it the wrong way.
I like hearing different parts of your life, because they've all been so different, right? Like your life changes. And so to hear, like you mentioned, like my day-to-day right now is really sweet, but that's not what it was 8 years ago, right? And being able to kind of take a step back and look at where you are now. And because I'm like, yeah, that sounds so nice. But you didn't do it all on your own. Like, you had to come to the realization that like you need support in order to be able to live what is your perfect day now. And I've heard you talk about that a lot, like the times that you have written down, this is what my perfect day is.
Yeah.
And really stopping at the end of the day and going like, man, I lived my perfect day today. A lot of questions, you know, had some deep emphasis on feminine and masculine and staying in the flow. And I think when you list out your perfect day and you look back and you've had it, like, I think those things are very tangible in there. Like, I don't think you can have your perfect days without some flow. If you are too flow, you're not going to get the things done you want to get done. If you're too rigid, you're going to get them done, but did you enjoy your day?
So true.
Those things just, they titillate my mind.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of it is like you said, just knowing the clarity on knowing where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, you've been at my retreats and seen the workshops, and a lot of what we do is like we go out to the future.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the clarity of what I want my life to look like, what my definition of having it all is in every area of my life. Now we come back to the now. We identify the gap and we come up with a plan to bridge that gap.
Mm-hmm.
And it will change too in the different seasons. And the thing is, you have the power to literally make your life anything you want.
Yeah. And that sounds harder than it actually is. And I feel like that's something that I have learned really just being in proximity to you and being able to like be behind the scenes. And, you know, when I'm at the retreats, I'm working, but I'm gleaning a lot. And they've been really fun for me to be at because I feel like legitimately they have changed my life.
Wow.
And I'm not getting, you know, like near as much as someone who is like there to be in the experience. And I mean, I don't know how much you want to share on the podcast, but I'm just saying like those things, retreats specifically, and having that no expectation. I'm just here to be in the flow and listen and partake a little bit of like, you know, what's going on. And I love that they are business focused in a lot of way, but your business is you. Like, you have to be about the business of yourself before you can be anything else. And that has been more profound than I ever expected it to be. To a point like where I'm in a season of life now where I'm living my perfect day most days. And sometimes those days don't include work, but damn, it feels so good to be at the end of the day and look back at my day. And I'm like, yeah, I have clear vision on like what I want my life to look like right now. And when I do, like, it's way easier to attain that than I thought it would be.
I think too, like, I've come to realize that, first of all, yes, like, your business is you. That took me a long time to realize. And, you know, you've seen my retreats and events, and everyone comes for the marketing strategy and leaves with the personal growth and realizes that those are the things that make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
Because how you show up, like, as a leader, how you make decisions, how grounded you are, the beliefs and the thoughts that you hold are everything.
Yeah.
And you just don't realize it. And then it's like, once you know, you're like, okay, you know, I get it. Like, this is my work.
Yeah. You know what has struck me as so interesting? How often we adopt the mindset of the things around us, right? Like, oh, I believe that's the best way to do it because I guess I saw it looking like it worked for someone else, so it's got to be the way. And then having those moments of really like recognizing it and questioning it, is that what I believe? And is that actually what I enjoy? Because if it's not, and I'm trying to do it, it's not going to feel fun. It's not going to feel good. It's not going to work because it's not aligned. Yeah. I'm just like, dang, we're little sponges. Like,
oh, I think that clarity is so huge. I think a lot of people are actually lacking clarity. They're chasing something and they don't know what they're chasing.
Yeah.
And then they're unhappy, but they don't know why.
Yeah.
I also, on all of this, think that your business gets to create the life that you want. Like, it's not the other way around. And I very much today see my business as it is what is the mechanism that allows me to have the impact I want to have, that allows me to have the freedom I want to have, which that freedom allows me to travel with my family, which is a really important thing for me, and have adventure and experiences in life. It's what allows me to train as much as I want and have that freedom over my time. My business serves me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't own me. And that takes time.
I was going to say, that takes growth.
That takes time to get to that point too. Like, you have to earn that. That's not, if you're a new entrepreneur in your first year of business, that's not going to be your tomorrow. Right? And you're working towards that future dream. And I think one of two things happens. Either in the beginning stages, an entrepreneur isn't willing to go through the season of hustle. There's a lot of people who like shit on hustle, but the reality is you've got to hustle in the beginning. Yeah. If you're going to build a business. And if it were easy, then everybody would do this. It's not easy. So either they can't hang during that beginning phase and hustle, and they're like, I want this to be easy, and I see people talking about not having to work all the time, and now I'm working more than I would in a job. You got to get through that season. Or there's the other side where they are fine doing that, and then they just continue doing that. Yes. And, you know, honestly, I look at like my dad. He still works 50-hour weeks, and he doesn't have to. Like, he's got enough money. He can watch this. He's set, but he didn't heal that part of him. And like, why is he working? What's it for? Yeah. And what are you sacrificing for the work? And so I think like that's two paths that entrepreneurs go down. It's either like you want this dream so bad, but you don't want it bad enough that you're not going to put the hustle in. Yeah. So you don't go anywhere. Yeah. Or you love to work and you're a born entrepreneur and you never stop. And it's like, you don't stop and ask, like, why am I even doing this? And I think that was the path I was on, right? Like, the work was the escape. The work was, it's never felt like work for me. Like, I've been an entrepreneur since I was like 8. But I eventually got to the place of, what's this for?
Do you think that's a different place than burnout? I think that, when you say like the work was never work for you, like I've come through a season where I love the work. I believe in the value of my work. But there are nights where I'm like, what the am I doing up right now working on this? It's work and I don't like it. And do you think there's a difference between the burnout and the you just like to work, but you still have to pace yourself because you're human?
I think it comes down to like, why are you doing it? Right. And I think we get burnt out when we're running, when we're running from facing something, from the ability to be with ourselves and face the darker shadows. Right. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs use work to run from something. And then I think eventually you burn out. Because if you are operating in alignment and in flow and with your gifts, you're not going to burn out, right? It's energizing. Yeah. And then I agree. You know when you cross over that point of like, okay, it's no longer like when you have that connection where you can call like the seasons and what feels good, you don't burn out. Yeah. Because it's not like a set number of like, well, if you work more than 30 hours a week, you're going to burn out. Right. You know, it's different for everyone. It's different for the season that you're in. It's dependent on what you're doing. So I think that what happens, I think, is if you run for long enough, eventually your body catches up to you and is like, we're not going to do this anymore. And that's why you see entrepreneurs get sick, burn out, you know, adrenal fatigue, all those things. And so I think that was absolutely the path that I was on. You know, I was am young, so my body could hang. It could do what it was doing, but it's ridiculous what I put myself through.
Sure. Thanks so much for sharing all of your wisdom.
Thank you for doing this.
Heck yeah.
Thank you for reading the questions. And
absolutely. I loved it.
Yeah, being a part of the last 7 years, is that what we said?
Yeah.
And we're about to go to Costa Rica.
I know. I'm so excited.
How cool is that?
It's been very fun. It's just all things work out as they should. And I love every opportunity I get to spend with you and your team and like your clients. Like you've got the best clients.
Yeah,
They're just awesome. They're killer, man.
Yeah.
So good.
Pretty special.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anytime.